The Real News with Lucretia Hughes is funded by you, the viewers, not USAID. So to support the show, please donate through PayPal at Fallback Production Studio, Cash App $ Lucretia Hughes 44, Venmo at Lucretia-Hughes, or shop at our store, fallbackusa2.myshopify.com. Thank you so much.
Politicians are very good at playing with words. They always talk about gun control. How about right control? Because when you go against the Second Amendment, that's our right. That's our God-given right, not only by God, but by the founding fathers. So why don't you just call it what it really is, right control? You're taking our rights away. You cannot regulate evil. Evil is evil, and evil is always going to be persistent, and it's always going to be here. So why get rid of our ability to protect ourselves? The Second Amendment right protects the rest of them, and it protects us. It protects your home, your body, and your spirit, because without it, how are you going to protect yourself? Don't be a sheep. Don't follow just because it's popular. Think for yourself. Be yourself. Be that individual that God made you to be. You wasn't born to follow. You was born to lead. Kathy, I went out there, I copied and pasted. Listen, welcome back to The Real News with Lucretia Hughes and Dave. Get over to Fallback USA 2. You go get your shirts, our pocketbooks. And wait. Mom made this one too. Mom made this little pocketbook. She said, girl, show this. Okay, so Mom is making more pocketbooks. But Kathy, and then, because I see Jacqueline, I see her, she cute. Okay, then, okay, listen. Treasonous action includes participating in war against one native country, attempted to overthrow its government, spying on its military, its diplomats, and secret services for a hostile and foreign power. We know that what you would call the World Economic Forum. That's what you would call the UN, okay? It also says attempted to kill the head of state. Woo! Pritzker. Dude, you need to be called to the carpet, but that's another one. To be considered treason, defendant must owe allegiance to the government and intentionally betray their allegiance by either levying war against the government or giving aid or comfort to the government enemies. Well, excuse you, Kathy. I'm just saying, you're right. So, we just got RFK up there, okay? We just got Pam Bundy. We just. It's, can you feel a brand new day? Can you feel a brand new day? Somebody going to jail. You're fired. You know what, y'all? We have our next guest coming up. You're talking about, this is the Jersey girl. It is Make America Healthy Again. Hold on. Can I still eat my chitlins in hot sauce? Because I ain't letting go of my chitlins in my hot sauce. It's just some things, or my Ritz crackers. Can I keep my Ritz crackers? Dave. Let's bring her on. Let's ask her. Can we still eat fried chicken? Some collard greens, macaroni and cheese, mashed potatoes, turkey dressing. Can we still do all of that without it being injected with, go ahead. Hey, everybody, I want to introduce y'all to Miss Jacqueline Capriotti. Please tell me I didn't tell your last name up.
No, you said it perfectly, actually. Right on, perfectly. So as far as what you're eating, it's all about knowing what you're eating. So there's just so many things that are in disguise that the ingredients that are in there, we can't even pronounce most of the ingredients that are on the list. And if you do a comparison to other countries for products that are exactly the same thing, you're going to have a list that's this of things that you can pronounce, and then you're going to have a list of things like this that you cannot pronounce, and then you don't even know what's in there. So that's a big part of it. So it's about of consent and inform, and at the end of the day, it's transparency. So, and then we can make our own decisions as Americans for what is good for us at the end of the day. And you know what? Home cooking is always the best. So let's stick to that. That'll be like, to me, that's the go go-to number one thing.
I
So.
truly believe he's gonna get up there. He's there gonna smack. I gotta say they, because even though he's over, he just got into the health secretary position. You still got to eliminate a lot of the regulations from the USDA. You got to the EPA. There's different agencies within the United States that has put so many stipulations on garden, small farmers, healthy eating. It's more of chemicals, Bill Gates, chemicals, spraying our food with stuff we don't know. Do you think, it's not do you think, yeah, let's go ahead and say, do you think he's going to hit the ground running?
Oh, absolutely. Knowing him, working with him over the past 2 years, and seeing what he's done in the past, it's just right out the gates. He's going to hit the ground running. And as far as pointing out what the issues are, looking under the hood, looking at really what the core issues are, and then making those corrections as they're and with a lot of sunlight in there as well. As far as where you talked about gardens, I have a program that I'm launching a national campaign called the Victory Garden Alliance the Victory Garden Alliance National Campaign. It is based on the original Victory Gardens from the 1940s, 1930s, and 1940s. The story that is so beautiful, that is like one of the greatest achievements that the government helped, but the people did themselves. In 1945, there were 20 million connected gardens across the United States at the height of World War II. And these were grown by women, children, and seniors, because our guys were out there fighting for our freedom and for the whole world's freedom and liberating people. So at home, these 20 million connected gardens, and I'm talking about front yard, backyard, churchyards, any little patch of land, pot that they could find to grow something in, actually served 40% of the produce for Americans in the United States. Think about that.
Well,
That's just wild.
we don't see fruit trees. Growing up in the 80s and even some in the 90s, and no one knew where we were, and we was just out there doing you saw fruit trees, you saw gardens, we would just pick them. Now you don't see any of that stuff out there without GMOs. Or do you think here's one, hybrid seeds, that right there, with the hybrid seeds, can we get that off the market? Because hybrid seeds does not regenerate over and over and over. You keep having to go back to these. And why is it that these same drug companies own a lot of the seed productions too?
Yeah, well, I think it has to really come from the small business and from the actual gardeners themselves. It doesn't necessarily just has to be a business. So as far as once you have one pepper, if you even buy a pepper from that's organic from the store, when you cut that open, all those seeds, you can replant those things. So, but if it is a GMO plant, you would have typically it doesn't grow, or it doesn't grow right, or it doesn't grow well if you're opening up one that is from a GMO. So if you just buy one organic plant or a fruit or vegetable that you could grow in your zone or in an environment in your area, you can just multiply that. And then once you harvest it, you're just going to start collecting that. And those seeds, once you dry them down, they can last for years and years, and then start trading them with your neighbors and with your community. And this is like one of the things that really can make a big difference. Supporting small businesses, supporting smaller seed makers as well, looking at these heirloom plants, these heirloom seed companies. That's where I think it has to come. And the more that the people are going to support these things, the free market is and demand these things, the free market's going to take care of itself.
Now that because the Amish does so much. The Amish. I've been in the work. I've been since there's a couple of people brought it to my attention because I live in Georgia and there's a lot of Amish around America that was getting raided. Do you think that RFK can get in there and stop a lot of the raids that are happening on small farms small people that have their gardens. There's there was a lot of stories coming out that people have a little small garden on the side of their house. They was getting attacked or fined, or even some got put in jail. Do you think that RFK can now have an initiative, or even not even an initiative for regular Americans to actually get in agriculture, get into more healthier eating, like you said, from farm to table, and get an incentive for it?
I think so. There's definitely, he wants it, the people want it. I've even heard, our new Secretary of Ag, Brooke Rollins, who's coming up. I even heard today her speaking about, nutrition and access to that and smaller farms and young farmers as well coming up. And I think that desire of that homestead that's building up, that is just. It really started picking up around 2020, where it was already happening, but in 2020 there was such a big shift in everything, as we all know, and people started going back to the land and looking at more self-sufficiency because we had to kind of figure out how to do things ourselves, as we weren't really getting much guidance or real guidance or transparency from the outside. And we realized that maybe we are too dependent on others or on people that are, have authority over us. So that homesteading and bringing it back home, growing our own, I think that we need more logical, common sense type of like you said, initiative from ourselves. And that the more that the communities come together and work on these things together, then these are going to come into play a lot more.
What got
That's
you?
it. It's the towns.
What got you working with RFK Jr.? What got you really involved and gun ho into doing what you're doing now?
Well, I've been, I would say, the couch backseat driver in politics for decades. I've been like, I watch politics like it's my favorite sport. I'm watching the statistics and keeping track of it, a lot of national more than anything. And I got so sick and tired of yelling at the TV and yelling at my phone and just getting so frustrated. And when I heard Kennedy speaking about the chronic illness epidemic, it just absolutely was breathtaking. Now, I have a son and daughter who have cystic fibrosis. They also have a long list of unfortunate other chronic conditions that may be affected by diet, by environment, whatnot. Those studies are not there right now. So, and they're starting to come out, and with Kennedy being there, there's hope for that. But as far as that goes, when I heard him state that more than 40% of our children have a chronic illness, and this was my life. Like, this was my existence. I didn't even realize this. Wow. I was living in the chronic illness community, and I didn't realize how widespread it was. So it was so incredibly shocking to me that was it. And when he made his announcement of presidency, that he was running for president back in April of 23, immediately I said, that's it, I'm joining in. So I got involved on the New Jersey level. I started, just raised my hand and said, just, what do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? And at that point, it just went on. I started being there, being present, helping out whichever way I could. And it's very interesting because being on the campaign, I was very open about even being a conservative. I didn't speak against even Trump or any of that. I just saw that Kennedy was speaking the truth. And they even elevated me to a national roles where I was leading the chronic illness outreach community. I had several initiatives. One of them was the Kennedy Victory Garden Initiative, which now is a national nonpartisan Victory Garden Alliance. And then from there, I also was working with Farmers for Kennedy. And then we were doing the Health Revolution, which was our chronic illness epidemic.
Okay, Candy just said, she said, stop the chemtrails. Is that in his jurisdiction? Him now being the health secretary, can you tell me exactly just some of the key roles that he's going to be over, and can he stop the chemtrails? Or Kim, let's go ahead and put a quote around chemtrails, because now people are going to say that's a conspiracy, even though it's not. What is some of his key roles that he can actually stop and reverse that chronic illness inside of America?
I think the actually studying the real things that are affecting people on the ground is what's really going to get our answers. So if we have the data that is proving these things are affecting us, then we can start to take action and start regulating things that are harming us. So that's where I think is going to be the key. And then working with different interagencies. As far as conspiracies, I think that that's just a way of shutting people down. I think open conversation is just so important, even if it could be. Do you remember that term of like, there's never a stupid question?
It's just a question, it's
Suddenly
not
there's
asked.
suddenly you're not even allowed to ask any question, even if it's a stupid question. So not saying that that is, but it's just a general thing. Why can't we have this open conversation? Even our children are watching. If we are shutting down conversations within ourselves, within each other, and we're shutting conversations of asking just stupid questions or smart questions, how are we expected our kids to, ask, why is the sky blue anymore? It's like kills curiosity. It kills inquisition. It kills, finding out the truth.
And I believe, and me personally, when RFK Jr. started going after Fauci, really put him out there because he was asking those tough questions that no one else would ask. And to me, that kind of, he took the front row. And someone blessed me with his book about Fauci and the drug company, pharmaceutical company. Is he over them? Is he finally over the pharmaceutical companies, the drug companies, the people that, that are chronically helping? Is he over them?
Well, I mean, I guess that's a little bit of a loaded question because it is quite a web that is woven underneath there. So he will have, a lot of power that he will be able to show transparency, finding out where the problems are, and start going and pulling those problems out. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not even going to happen just under one term. This is just the start. I coined the term health revolution because all of us are in the midst of a health revolution right now, and it is all up to us to educate ourselves, ask those smart and stupid questions, and get those answers. So is he over that? He's going to have a lot of authority and power to be able to find the answers. And he'll have incredible teams that he'll be able to build underneath him and a better system. Like I'll give you, for instance, the side effect systems,
Yes.
okay, of the vaccines and of drugs in general, or even FDA or even our food are not being tracked at all. So they're only capturing, like the VAERS system, I think they're only capturing about 1%. And for those who don't know what the VAERS system is, that's vaccine, that is a tracking system for the vaccines. And also there's a tracking system for side effects on your drugs. When you've been prescribed a drug by your doctor, and do you really, or even through the pharmacy, have you ever noticed a proper like inquisition of how is that drug affecting you? Do they really note it? Are they really reporting it? If you stop taking it, how many times have you stopped taking a medication and you don't even tell your doctor? And you don't tell anybody because maybe it just made you feel a little ill and you don't know if that's what's really causing it. But the thing is, if there's no data there, no collection of this information whatsoever, how are we supposed to know how these things are affecting us? And if you look at the statistics, one of the major causes of death, I think it's about third, it might even be much higher than that because we're not tracking it. There you go. is side effects and complications from medicine and medical treatment.
Well, they never make account of that because I've always had a thought that if you look at some of the mass shootings and the mass killings and stuff that's going on, a lot of these children are on psychotropic drugs, and no one is making account of that or asking questions, because even if you're depressed or they put you on depression medication, it says it alters your brain, it alters the chemicals in your brain. So if we know that children's brains are not fully developed by a particular time in their life, why are we pushing all of these pharmaceutical medicines on them without tracking how or what is the effects are, or keeping up with the effects until you see a commercial for Massengill that could cause death?
Right. Absolutely. So I'll give you a good tracking system. So I worked in skincare and dermatology for a good part of my adult years, and in that there's a drug called Accutane, which is used for severe acne. It's an oral medication. It's a vitamin A supplement, but at a high level, and it can cause severe birth defects.
Oh, wow.
Severe birth defects. But there is but it's a very effective drug for acne as well. So the state has a system that they track monthly statistics. They have to even take a pregnancy test while they're on it on a monthly basis. They follow it very, very closely because there's such a severe side effect, on the packaging of that. And that's a good thing. That's an absolute good thing. If we have a better system like that, not necessarily exactly the way that one is shaped, but I'm just giving that as an example for other drugs that are out there, then I think that we're going to get more answers. And also, as far as, like you said, if they do ask the question, like they don't ask the question, sometimes they do. But where do those answers go? So if they note them, are they putting them into the EMR system? Are they putting it into the electronic medical systems in there? Are they regulating? Are they tracking it? If they are, where's that data going? Is it going to the pharmaceutical companies? Is it going to the FDA? We don't even know. That's the whole thing. And it's honestly, it feels like it is by design.
Why do you think it would be by design if they're not keeping up with it? Is it just to show that I don't know, is it just to show that there's no harm that could be caused by that one particular medication? Or if they just don't want to know what type of side effects that's going to happen to the populace?
I mean, I do say something that I do kind of apply to many things that I notice is that the number one problem, I think, in humans is incompetency. When you're incompetent, a lot of incompetency, it leaves the back door and the front door open to corruption. So it leads with people who are maybe being lazy or incompetent or not doing their job properly or are not qualified for their job. And then, the bad stuff can come in. So I don't know exactly whose intentions there are there. It's not for me to determine that. At the end of the day, we just have to get it fixed.
Is he going to be over the INH? and the old Dr. Fauci also. Please tell me he's going to be over the all of these.
NIH?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have Dr. Jay Bhattacharya he's up for confirmation for the NIH. I believe it's Dr. Marty Makary, who I think is going to be for the FDA, which is so incredible. Fun fact, Marty Makary, he is an incredible surgeon from Johns Hopkins University, and he is one of the few surgeons in the world that actually performs the rare surgery that my son had, which was a life-saving surgery called a total pancreatectomy with an auto islet cell transplant.
Okay, that just went. Well,
I'm just going to tell people who Google it. So, total pancreatectomy with an auto islet cell transplant. It's what saved my son's life. But Dr. Martin McCary, he's a very, very smart man. He's been pointing out the problems in the FDA. He's been pointing out being very, very transparent and speaking about that. So, he is, I think the confirmations should be coming up for that soon. Now that Bobby's through, Kennedy's through is clear now, and then Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, who was very, very open during COVID about that we weren't properly mitigating public health at that time, and I really appreciated his candid openness at that time, because I told you when I was locked down with my kids and with my, our whole family was locked down. So we were that vulnerable population. And Kennedy spoke about it, and Bhattacharya spoke about it, and Marty McCary spoke about it very loudly, that we're not focusing on the vulnerable. The vulnerable population are the ones that are being affected by COVID,
Yes.
and we're ignoring them. And honestly, I felt almost like a pawn in it, that it was like, well, you better behave or else you're going to hurt that woman's children. And that's how I felt. It didn't feel like, oh, we're really protecting you. Because frankly, for so long, pathogens are something that affect cystic fibrosis. It's the number one threat. It affects the lungs so much. So it was an immediate threat to us. But we've been dealing with that threat just from the regular environment for so long. Masks was not uncommon to us. We wore N95s and hospital masks every time we went to the hospital with the kids or on airplanes before COVID ever happened. So all of that stuff was not foreign to us. So when we were seeing all of that going on, I'm saying, I just kept remembering that the docs for so many years since my kids were diagnosed was, don't put them in a bubble, don't put them in a bubble, don't let them live their lives. You have to mitigate, you have to be careful, you have to take precautions, but don't live your life in a bubble. You have to have some quality of life. But then COVID came along and it was like, oh no, all those rules are out the door. But when I heard RFK Jr. speaking and when I heard Dr. Martin McCary speaking and Dr. Jay Bhattacharya speaking, they spoke very clearly about that we need to mitigate, we make real good decisions in our lives, not just this is it and don't ask why we're telling you to do this.
That is why I'm more appreciated, because he had the guts to get up there and not only question Dr. Fauci, he put him on the spot. And I think if it wasn't for, I cannot call him Bobby, but you call him Bobby, but RFK, if he was not one of the front runners to get out there to get our freedoms back, I think we would have still been locked down a lot longer. So I appreciate him when he first got out there, and then when people started telling me more about RFK and how he's going to take our health seriously and how he feel like it should be left up in our hands. Like you said, not living in a bubble, not living in fear, none of this stuff, but actually going back to where we can make our own decisions and not what Big Pharma or someone getting paid from Big Pharma is going to dictate in our life. How fast? No, never mind, because I'm sure he went up there and said, give me that paperwork. He's been waiting for a minute. Do you think he going to take down Fauci? I just want to know, do you think he's going to go after Fauci?
I think that he has so many more things that are on the priority list right now, which is our children's health and well-being and getting that done. As far as that goes, he's not a threat anymore, but maybe perhaps looking at the mechanisms that Fauci put in place that is still affecting us, that might be where the changes are made. So and honestly, that's what I want him to focus on.
I want to take him down, but that's just my selfish way. Oh, that's Pam Bundy.
I'm not. Yeah, that's. I think that's up to other people. But
That's Pam
I'm
Bundy.
sure that he can come up with a lot of evidence, maybe if
No
as he
one particular
do that.
person in the INH or the NIH should never be Nero again.
No, no one
And
should ever be, period.
that was a little man. He had little man syndrome so bad. But for him to be a scientist and not a real doctor, I'm sitting here and you're fussing at real doctors and telling them they're not true. But you got to come back. You look, it popped up. You gotta come back. We didn't even scratch the surface of what you working in New Jersey, as the Jersey Make America Healthy Again girl. The
I'm your
garden,
Maha Jersey girl.
the what is the MAGA garden or the garden initiative. You got to come back because that's something to show our audience, our family is really wanting to start doing. Some can say it's prepping, some can say it's better living, some can say it's saving money by learning how to garden, take better care of themselves. So I would really love for you to come back. And not only that, the more he's getting into his tenure as being HHS, you could be like the go-between and tell us what's going on behind the scenes.
I would love to. And if everybody wants to check out our initiative, it is www.victorygardenalliance.com.
So you get the last word. Tell everybody where to find you, any tags that you have, any social media, and where they can, if they have any questions.
So you can find me on Victory Garden Alliance. So anything that has Victory Garden Alliance, that's my group over there, and we're really building some incredible partnerships. We've recently partnered with the World Food Bank and Farm Heroes, and we have some incredible people that are starting to really help support us and build a community within us so we can help others build their own communities. So jump on board on that. And you can find me on, I guess, Maha, New Jersey also.
So everybody, we got to take a quick break. This is Jacqueline. It's Jacqueline, honey. It's Jacqueline. And I probably still sound country saying it. But thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Everybody else, we'll be right back. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Real News with Lucretia Hughes is funded by you, the viewers, not USAID. So to support the show, please donate through PayPal at Fallback Production Studio, Cash App $ Lucretia Hughes 44, Venmo at Lucretia-Hughes, or shop at our store, fallbackusa2.myshopify.com. Thank you so much.
Politicians are very good at playing with words. They always talk about gun control. How about right control? Because when you go against the Second Amendment, that's our right. That's our God-given right, not only by God, but by the founding fathers. So why don't you just call it what it really is, right control? You're taking our rights away.